Hi everybody, this is your boy DrkBLADExx of Dark and Forces Gaming Network, aka Black Hawk, Division Leader for DCUO. Welcome to the new series I'm making on here called Fallout 4 Defense Structures. I actually made these videos a little bit over a year ago, I just never uploaded them now. I've been, well, pretty lazy. Yeah, I needed space on my console, finally got my space, so now I'm making videos again. Here it is. Okay, so for those of you who didn't see my last video, my designs are unique and OP in many different ways, and I think people will really appreciate them. When it comes to making settlements, I'm not like most people. The first thing I do is I scrap the unneeded and worry about defense. I don't worry about food, water, people, housing, utilities, benefits, etc. None of that, just defense. That's where I differ from other people. My place could get attacked at any time, and while I could probably survive anything thrown at my settlements, I can't say the same for my settlers. And that's not even taking into account situations such as warping into your place or walking towards it. You know, like when your place is attacked and you finally go towards your place, you warp there, and because you warped in, they also warp in with you. Or when you're walking towards your settlement, as soon as you get close enough, they just like pow straight into your place. Yeah. All these type of different things go into trying to defend your place, and unfortunately, while you can probably take whatever they dish out depending on the way they deliver it, your settlers and or maybe even yourself will probably die. When it comes to my defense structures, I do them in two stages, stage 1 and stage 2. Every single settlement gets both stages. There's not a single settlement that only has one stage. That would be completely useless. Stage 1 is always the same no matter where I go. A wall around my settlement. Why? Because it's a wall, for one thing. Because of a wall, I can place my instances wherever I want to, and I can pretty much corral them into stage 2, which is what this video is going to do. A little bit. A fortress wall. A wall that makes it so that enemies can't just walk straight into your place. They have to find a way around to get inside. Or if you have entrances, which you should have entrances, they're all forced to take those entrances to come into your base. That's what the purpose of a wall is, and that's why I use them, because they work great for that. Now, I know there are tons of people online who are going to say, why in God's name would you even think about putting up a wall around your whole place? Look at the size of your place. When you build up a wall, you're using up that size. Why would you waste all your materials putting that up? Because now that you got a wall around your base, now you don't have enough space to build anything else. I think we all know how to free up space within our settlements without actually deleting anything. I think everybody knows that by now. If by chance you don't, I have a video in the channel. Go ahead and check that out. How to free up your settlement size without actually deleting anything. For instance, if I wanted to right now, I could put that size down to 0 without deleting a single thing. So that's not a problem. I think we all can establish that. That's not really an issue anymore. So who cares how much size you take up now? Who really cares? And then there's some people are going to say, okay, well, check this out. You put up all your walls now. You use your resources doing that. And when enemies come, the walls can't kill anything. So why would you waste time on something that can't get rid of them? Well, see, that's why this video is stage 1 and a stage 2. Stage 1 works in unison with stage 2. Stage 1 is just defense. Stage 2 is offense. They work well together. At least in my series they do. Then there are going to be some people that say, okay, so what happens when you have that one ad that just runs at a wall non-stop, won't stop or anything? He just keeps running at the wall. And as he's running, he slowly pushes his body through to the other side. Now he's inside your base. That has only happened to me once so far. And that's only happened when I was using Shack Wall. I had an ad over at Sanctuary actually push Drew slowly. He didn't get his whole body through the wall, but he got enough through the wall to start shooting at settlers. That's only happened once. And it hasn't happened since I switched from using this type of wall to using concrete. Maybe because it's thicker, but they can't get through this wall for some reason. At least in my experience, they can't. Alright, and then there's the other person that's like, and this does happen to me, so I'm going to mention it too, either way. What happens when your settlement's under attack? You have your walls up, you got your fences up, you warp into your settlement, and the enemies warp in with you. What good was that wall? Well, there's nothing you can do about that. That happens to whether you have a wall around your place or not. They're going to warp in. That's kind of a glitch as far as I'm concerned with the game. When you warp in, the enemies then just warp in too. But hey, whatever. Nothing you can do about that. Where this wall really shines at is keeping things that are already outside it from getting in, unless they find the entranceway. For instance, my entranceway is right over here. Yep, I don't have a door or a gate. Some places I have gates, some places I don't. Actually, I think I've only have one settlement where I have like about 4 settlements that have gates. And the rest of them just has open ways like this. But it works well for me, and it all depends on what type of stage 2 I have at my place. Whether I have an open entranceway or whether I block it off with like a gate or door. It all depends. But we'll get into that later. So yeah, like I said, there's really nothing you can do about that. That's just how the game is. I think it's a bug, but yeah, when you warp into your place, they come in. Hell, even if you don't fast travel, you actually take the time to just walk there. When you walk there and run into your entrance, you'll notice that some of the ads are also running towards that said entrance too. So they could still get in there, but at least they're forced to go into a path that you designated yourself. With that being said, since you forced them or corralled them into an entrance, you can also just defend that one entrance if you wanted to. So stage 1 kind of works with stage 2 in a way. Now, I'm not saying just put all your defenses at the entranceway. That wouldn't make any sense. Because like I said, what happens when you warp into your base and they warp in with you? If all your defenses are only at your entranceway and you warp into the middle of your place and they're right next to you like, hi, chances are your defenses will not reach the enemies that are standing next to you. So I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that you can set it up so that your defenses can reach the entranceway, which is what stage 2 does. Anyway, we're talking about stage 1, so let's continue. As I said though, stage 1 really shines is when you're already at your place and then it gets attacked. When it gets attacked, ads can't just run, like, just say your place is like surrounded, right? And they're trying to get inside. You have walls up, so they can't just walk straight in. They're going to have to sit there and figure out where the entranceway is and try to get inside, and that's where it shines at. So you can protect all the things that are inside your base. Like when ads come in, they destroy crops, they destroy power things, they destroy water. That's what they want to do. And they kill people, of course, too. But you can protect those with walls. Now they can't just rush straight in. Now, of course, some of you guys have settlers that will pick up guns and try to protect your place. Some people like that. I don't really like that. However, I do give them weapons in case shit happens. Like I said, when you warp in, they tend to warp in. I don't want them just sitting there defenseless, so I give everybody weapons, armor, guns, all that stuff. But I really don't want them going out of their way to protect anything. I want my structures to do that for them. So, using DLC, I have it set up, I have logic gates. When my place gets attacked, I have somebody right next and stationed right next to the siren. When the siren goes off, the gates and entranceways lock down around my place. I have it set up so that those doors lock so that settlers can't get out when the place gets attacked. That way they're locked inside and then I can go around and just take care of killing everything, or I can just have my structures do it for me. Yeah, it's really no biggie. If you guys take anything from this video, it should be this: that the purpose of a wall is to make sure that people can't just walk freely into your place. They can only walk in where you allow them to walk in. Such as this picture right here. I have walls on both sides. You can't get in except for this area right here in the middle. So when people try to come in, they can't just, walk to the entranceway and then just turn straight in that way or straight into this way. Since I have these also walls on the side right there, they have to actually come down this path, which kind of corrals the enemies together so that the structures can mow them all down. It's actually quite genius. Although I don't use this corral thing for each settlement. Some areas I just leave an open gap and that's it. But for some certain locations I actually do put the walls like you see right there, and I have them come down this path they want to enter or exit. That way, like I said, you can just mow them down. I plan to show you guys some stuff that you maybe not have considered, but that's about it. I don't think I'll be showing you guys anything new. Well, maybe some of you, but that's about it. Alright, so when it comes to walls, I want you guys to just think, just keeping things from being able to walk directly into your area. That's it. Just that. Alright, so we're going to talk about the regular plain walls. We're also going to talk about some of the DLC walls. Alright, so let's go here. This is wood shack walls. I think everybody knows what this is. This is probably the cheapest wall you can get. Now, by cheapest walls, I mean, like, not that many components used. Of course, you guys know, earlier I talked about how if an ad for some odd reason just wanted to just run into the wall for a long period of time, eventually they may be able to phase through it. So you might not want to use something that's this thin. There are things that are slightly thicker than this that work a lot better, such as concrete, for instance. However, instead of using something that thin, you could probably go with something like this. With a little bit more steel, you can get something thick like this, and that should work out great for you. Now keep in mind that this does use quite a bit more steel. For the most part, with all these walls, whatever you see mostly on something is what it actually you need to build it. So for instance, this is a wood frame with a metal sheet on the side and a metal roof. You see more metal than wood, so it takes more steel than wood. For the most part, what you see is what you get. That's not always true, but for the most part that is. And there's different types of walls for the shack walls. Matter of fact, let's go down there. You know, you could actually use something like this too if you wanted to, and you could also double it up. For instance, on this open side here, you can put a large piece of wood right over that, and now you have like a 2-layer wall if you want to use something like this around your settlement. You just gotta get creative with it. Alright, let me show you guys something. We also have these type of walls too if you want just wood. Yeah. As you see, it still uses a little bit of metal, but it's mostly just wood. Then we have this, which looks like it's completely wood to me, but for some reason uses 2 steel, I don't know, nails maybe. Then you have these types right here. So it's all up to you. I would advise from using anything like this. If you can see through it, you can shoot through it. Yeah, that's how the game goes. That's been true for almost everything so far. If you can see through it, you can shoot through it. So keep that in mind. Also, if you can see through it, you can aggro things on the other side. So you might want to take that into consideration. Alright, so let's move on. We just did shack walls in the plain vanilla game. Tallest type. Now this is a gate. This doesn't really count, but I'm going to show you this anyway. Gates are always going to be taller than anything else when it comes to junk walls. But for real, this is it. Look how tall that junk wall is. Same size as the barn, right? Same size as that little warehouse. Of course, this is a junk wall gate, so of course it's going to be towering over things. But depending on the piece you pick, it's going to be the same height as the barn to itself. Like for instance, this one's a little bit short of being the same height as the barn, but you know, just a little bit. It also depends on which piece you pick. As you can see, this one's a lot smaller, but it also depends on which piece you pick. Certain pieces are tall, certain pieces are small, but at least you get a different variety. Also, what I want to also point out is, depending on what you pick, it takes certain components. Always look at your components, because while this may look good and may be the look you want, you might not have the components to go around your whole settlement. For instance, this one uses 10 wood and 4 steel, while others, like this, use 6 wood, 9 steel, and 4 rubber. You might not have enough rubber to do something like this. Certain walls will require you to use more components than others, so you might want to also put that in consideration too. Alright, so I think we've been through all these walls that you can put up, so we're good with those. Alright, I don't want this video to be too long, but I got a feeling it is. Okay, let's go back to the plain vanilla game walls. Okay, so some people like using these. Once again, you can put a metal sheet on this side of the wall and make it a 2-layer wall. A lot of people like using these. My twin brother likes using these. Me, I just don't like the way the metal looks, so I'm not using it. Also, I want to let you guys know that when it comes to these walls, one wall isn't necessarily better than the other. What I mean is, for wires, what they do as protect, they all protect. It doesn't really matter. It's not like a bullet's going to be able to go through the wood better than it would to go through the metal. There's no difference as far as a wall. Either it protects or it doesn't. So that being said, one's not better than the other at all. At all. Basically, you're just going for looks. What look do you want for your place? So keep that in mind. Alright, so there's also different types. Maybe you, instead of having like a little curve, you want like an angle. Or maybe you want something like this. Keep in mind that this does take steel. Like when you go to your place, keep that in mind. You might want to save some stuff for the next settlement. Or maybe you just like, well, settlement to settlement to settlement, I'll just use what's at my own place. It's up to you how you choose to do it. Or maybe you're thinking that those walls are a little bit too big and you want something thin like this. This is the wall I like using though. I like using thin walls only for the reason that I don't want to take up too much space. Like, you're going to circle around your place with walls, right? So if the wall's really, really big, that lessens the area that you can build in. I'm not talking about the settlement size, I'm talking about the buildable space you have. If that makes any sense. Alright, so those are metal walls. Alright, so now we're going to move over to DLC walls. Let's go to concrete. Concrete, I love concrete. I love concrete. It goes into the ground easy, and you can stack it on top of each other. So if you want that tall wall, you get that tall wall. It stacks on top of each other. It's great. And it just takes concrete to make 8 concrete. So while that's still a small number, you might not have enough concrete to go around your place. So keep that in mind. But there are different varieties of concrete you can go with for your actual wall. Although, keep in mind this, you want to make sure you're building the right type of wall. As I said earlier, if you can see through something, you can shoot through it, so keep that in mind. This right here is not the type of wall you want to be using. You can see through this, you can shoot through this. I've been shot through this, and I have shot things through this before. Of course, you can shoot through this one, so that's a no-brainer. However, concrete does have different varieties, like this short mini one, or even a pole one. Now we even have ones that are on an angle, if you can kind of tell right there. Yeah, it's on an angle. Now we even have curved walls. So you really can build almost anything you want with this concrete, which is why it's my favorite type of wall in the game so far. Although I'm probably going to move over to warehouse walls in a minute. Speaking of which, let's go over to warehouse walls. So we're going to start with warehouse wood, aka barn walls. Now this is a tall wall. This is the tallest DLC wall you can get right here. The tallest. As far as all walls concerned, plain and DLC, this is the tallest you can do. This is the size of the barn itself. So it does stack on itself. You can make it taller if you want to. You should have no problem going around your place with this. And it's thicker than the regular shack wall you guys saw. So you shouldn't have a problem with things being able to go through it. So that shouldn't be a problem at all. And there's different types if you guys want to choose different types. I wouldn't suggest it though. For the most part, like I said, if you can see through it, you can shoot through it. So you might not want to do that. If you guys actually definitely want a window for your place, you might want to go with something like this, where it limits the view in and out. But that's up to you. Alright, so now let's go to the warehouse shack walls, where it's just like you thought. It's a regular shack wall, just bigger. Right here. Once again, it's the same size as this barn, because it's pretty much the same material. If you look at it, it is exactly the same material. So it's short, I mean not short, it's tall, you can stack it up. It uses a couple of resources, as you can see, wood and steel, so you might want to look out for that. And it's thicker than the regular shack wall. So you shouldn't have a problem with things trying to phase through it. Once again, you can get different varieties, but once again, also remember that if you can see through it, you can shoot through it, so you might not want to do that. Alright, and last on our, well, at least this DLC wall, we're going to talk about warehouse glass walls. I do not, in any circumstances, want to even show this type of thing, but I'm going to show this for the hell of it. Now, why people won't be able to walk through your glass walls, they can still shoot through it. If they can shoot through it, then for the most part, they don't really need to come inside if they can just shoot it, right? So you're going to want to avoid this for at least trying to protect your place. So I don't even want to show this type of shit. The concrete is part of Wasteland workshops, a warehouse. This is the warehouse. This is the barn. These two are part of DLC known as Wasteland Contraptions, or just contraptions, whatever you want to call it. Now there is another type of wall you can get, but we're gonna get to that later. What I want you guys to all to get from this is, when you're walling up your place, you don't actually have to use a wall at all. It doesn't literally have to be a wall. As long as it just blocks entry and makes people have to go around stuff, it works. For instance, if you want, you can just build a bus like this. Yeah, you can build a bus. I know some people are thinking they blow up. Why would I want to put something that can actually blow up in my place? Now, when you build a bus, you can't blow it up. You cannot blow it up. Alright, so if you wanted to build a bus, you would just go to miscellaneous. You come over here, you place it down, as you see I did right here. Alright, so this is the plasma driller. As you can guess, it would have already blown up by now. Same thing that was done over here that I built. Would have already blown up by now if you could. You can't blow this up. Now, while you can't crawl under this, you can see under it. And if you can see under something, you can shoot under it. So keep that in mind. You're probably going to want something that can actually block view too, as well as just blocking entry. Also, when it comes to this bus, it'd be a good idea to position the doors so that your settlement can walk into the buses as opposed to the enemies being able to walk into the bus. And I say that because if you actually wanted to defend your place, you could actually just walk into this bus and then shoot outwards. Once again, if you can see outside the window of something, you can shoot into something. So keep that in mind. That's completely up to you. Remember, you don't actually have to use walls. Anything that lets you actually just bar up your place works too. Also, to that extent, if you actually wanted to, literally, you could use something just like this and just do that too. I wouldn't really advise this because you can see through it, and for the most part, if you can see through something, you can aggro stuff. But this works too on the same basis, as you can't walk straight through it. You can see through it, you might be able to shoot through it, but that's about it. Anyway guys, I just want to give you guys ideas. Get creative with your walling up of your place. I got one more thing to show you, I guess. We're going to go to the Vault-Tec DLC and look at their walls. Not that it really matters, but let's do it anyway. Hi guys, sorry, this is a little extra PS section. Alright, so even though I have Vault-Tec DLC, I haven't unlocked the actual vault yet, so I had to go over to the area to unlock the vault to show you the actual walls from here. Although there's really no point to it because you can only use these walls when you're actually in the vault area, so you can't use these walls on the outside world unless advancing the story will actually let you do that, which I'm not sure of because I haven't advanced the story. Even in my highest level game, I've only unlocked every single area of the vault areas that I can go, but I haven't actually progressed any of the story whatsoever. So, man, I don't know what to tell you. I will say this, though. When it comes to building up your walls, they stack pretty much just like, well, let me show you. They stack just like concrete. You can stack them up on top of each other, and you can keep going up higher and higher and higher, which is good. But like I said, you can't put these anywhere on the outside world, which sucks. However, if you have mods, you'll be able to do that. Or, unless I'm mistaken, maybe you have to just progress the story and you'll be able to do that too, but yeah, who knows. Anyway, so I'm not going to talk too much about this. I'm going to get out of here, guys. Thanks for watching this video. I hope this helped you out. See you later.
Afternoon, today's high near 57 degrees. Tonight, your high cover with a low of 39.